Hey guys, Joseline'S Cabaret, California, episode 9 review slash recap. I know we catching up. I got like 4 episodes to catch up on, but I really ain't been feeling this season, y'all. This season is a big downgrade from Joseline'S Cabaret, Texas. So we get the fight between Danny and Kaniyah, and basically it's what I told y'all. Same thing with the fight that she had with Andrea. I felt like Kaniyah didn't lose. I felt like the fights was kind of ties, but that was only bad to me because she's much bigger than Danny and Andrea to me. Like, she has a lot more weight on her. So I felt like she should have been able to handle them a little bit more, but unfortunately she didn't. And it was like a tie with both fights that she had. Like, Danny did have a little something on her eye. Like, you could see this eye here kind of looks a little black, but it just wasn't much. I felt like they was getting a pretty equal amount of hits on each other, or they was doing a lot of grabbing. But like Chink said, I'm glad that Kaniyah did stand up for herself. She proved people wrong who thought that she was just going to get hit and take it. And then from there, Kaniyah basically told them that now she's going to win. So it's like they put a fire up under her ass. And now she's like, yeah, I'm definitely not going home. And I'm going to go as hard as possible so I could win the competition. Now, I don't know if Kaniyah ends up winning the season, but I do know that she makes it to the end because she is currently on tour with Joseline. The girls who are currently on tour are Danny, Andrea, Oceans, Lexi Gold, Jane Doe, G Baby, and Kaniyah. So I do feel like those are our top 7 girls. So then Andrea and Kaniyah decide to go again. So like I said, the fight that she had with Andrea on episode 8, I felt like was kind of a tie. But this second round that they had, Kaniyah did get. So once they saw that Kaniyah wasn't as weak as they thought, they both seemed to be done. Danny was like, F that big dusty bee. And Andrea was like, oh, I'm done with her. And then Andrea stayed trying to make people feel like she's so crazy, like calling herself psycho and calling herself delusional. Like, girl, nobody's scared of you. Nobody cares what you're saying. It doesn't put fear in anybody's heart, Andrea. And then, of course, the girls got to have the jumping mentality. Andrea is telling Kaniyah, Erica, Des, and Egypt are going to whoop her ass. So at that point, Andrea was kind of telling the security she was done, she was ready to go. And they was like, okay. And they was kind of taking Andrea out of the room. And then Kaniyah was like, oh, so when she say the fight is over, the fight is over. And Andrea was like, what, you still want to go? And Kaniyah was like, yeah, let's go again. So now they go for a third round. Third round, Andrea was completely swimming, but Kaniyah was like backing up while they was fighting, and she ended up tripping and falling. I feel like Andrea felt like she knocked Kaniyah down, so she thought she ate that round, but she really didn't. So after they wrapped all of that up, Kaniyah went to her room. She said she was going to put her lip gloss on and go back to regular scheduled programming. Jane Doe decided to go and check on Kaniyah. Jane Doe said that she felt like Kaniyah was pushed to fight. She didn't really want to fight, so that's not cool. And then Kaniyah was basically saying Danny and Andrea have been on the show for like 3 seasons and they still crumb buckets. But one thing I will say I noticed is that none of these newbies really like each other. I mean, G Baby and Sky, I guess, but that's about it. Because Kaniyah and Jane Doe will have a scene together, but then Kaniyah will say something in her confessional about Jane Doe that's like, you don't really like her. Same thing, like there was a scene with Jane Doe and G Baby in one of these episodes, and then G Baby had a confessional saying like, yeah, me and Jane Doe talked, but I don't really care what she got to say because we don't got no connection. So it's like y'all really don't like each other, which just proves that most of these scenes with y'all talking and walking together are kind of set up or just for y'all to get camera time. Really, y'all just newbies. Y'all not really friends. Meanwhile, we got Danny and Andrea. They kind of losing their minds because they violated the 48-hour rule that Joseline had set. She said she didn't want any fighting in the house for 48 hours, but they fought Kaniyah. And Danny said, she always feels like a piece of shit when she goes against Joseline's word, even though that's not often. But now she's trying to figure out how to get her and Andrea out of this mess. Now, while she's saying this, she's still trying to run past security to go fight Kaniyah again. So I don't really understand. And then you could just tell how jealous and insecure Danny and Andrea are. They talking about, oh, what's a bad bitch without hair, clothes, and makeup? We need to go take Kaniyah's stuff and go in her room. That's what Danny was saying. But then Andrea was like, no, we already broke the 48-hour rule. So we don't need to put nothing else on top of that because Joseline don't play with people touching other people's stuff. Because remember last season when Neek had touched Andrea Voodoo Doll, Joseline kind of went off. And Kaniyah told Jane Doe in this scene that she was probably next because she was the only newbie who hadn't been touched. And Kaniyah wasn't wrong. Because like she said, it is kind of an initiation thing for these girls. They want to see if you're going to get in the paint and if you're going to fight with them outside. So they feel like they have to fight you and test your gangster. Like, that's a part of the initiation into the cabaret now. And then Kaniyah was saying to Jane Doe how she felt like Danny and Andrea should get home. They threw something on her that's like simple assault and she had no choice to defend herself. Well, I'm going to just let you know, Danny and Andrea definitely aren't going to get sent home. Joseline is not sending home Danny, Andrea, or Oceans anytime soon. Those are her lapdogs. But also, you referring to them throwing a drink at you as simple assault as if you don't know what show you signed up to be on is kind of crazy to me. There is no such thing as simple assault on Joseline's Cabaret. And I'm pretty sure that when you got on the show, you signed something that said that. On shows like Baddies and Joseline's Cabaret, they make you sign stuff to make sure that you can't come back and sue them because you got injured in a fight or something like that because they know the show consists of fighting. So simple assault doesn't apply in the show. They threw something at you. It is what it is. You have to defend yourself. But don't try to use the word simple assault, because this is not the environment for that. And then you got Andrea and Danny weird asses. Now they talking about they got a little bit more respect for Kaniyah. So like I said, just proof that what she said and what I said is true. It's all an initiation, hazing kind of tactic. And then as far as what I was saying about none of these girls really liking each other, after Kaniyah and Jane Doe wrapped their conversation up, I guess the producers asked Kaniyah how she felt about Jane Doe. She said, I don't feel any way about Jane Doe. She checked on me and I thought that was nice. And next. So like she's not saying, oh, I'm so appreciative for Jane Doe coming to check on me. That's my girl. It's given, okay, she checked on me. So what? Next. I don't care. Like these girls don't like each other. So the girls who were in the music video are on their way back home. They all said that they felt like, each other did a good job. They were giving each other their 10s. They were hyping up Sky, because this is her first time in a video with Joseline. She's a newbie. So then Oceans looks at her phone and she's like, hey, you guys, I really don't F with Danny like that. Me and her are beefing right now. But she just texted me and said, we need to get Big Bird when we get in the crib and to send out the APV, which is basically, I guess, like a SOS. So at first, everybody was kind of like, F Danny. Oh, she need our help now. Like, that's what Erica in Egypt was kind of saying. But Oceans was like, okay, but it sounds like Andrea is in trouble too. So we need to have Andrea's back. So all the girls come running in the house. Danny and Andrea come downstairs and they're like, oh, we effed up, we effed up. And Andrea was like, yeah, I effed up, I fought her. And Neek was like, I told you not to do that. Then Andrea's sitting there telling them that she won and Kaniyah can't fight. Everybody's jumping up and down excited. Little do they know Andrea's setting them up for failure because Kaniyah's about to come downstairs and run through anybody who wants it. So we see Joseline walking in, and at the same time we get a confessional from Lexi basically saying she don't understand how Danny and Andrea saying they need more bitches and they need more support to fight Kaniyah when it's already a 2-on-1. So when Joseline comes in, Andrea tells her, we broke the 48-hour rule. Me specifically, I fought Kaniyah. Instead of Joseline actually standing on her rule and saying, even if she wasn't going to send Andrea home, because we know she's not going to do that, she should have at least yelled at Andrea and been like, bitch, I told you not to break the fucking rule. But instead of her doing that, she says, oh, did you beat her up? And Andrea going to say, oh, yeah, I beat her up 3 rounds. And again, just smiling and so excited like she really did something when, like I said, it was a tie. And then some of the rounds she lost. So while they all talking, Joseline's taking everything in, but she really don't seem upset. The girls kind of overhear like footsteps coming down the steps and everybody like, oh, Kaniyah's coming. So when Kaniyah came down, Andrea was still telling Joseline like, she started it. She threw the water on Kaniyah. So Kaniyah just simply defended herself. It's really not her fault. But Andrea was like, you need to understand what me and Danny been through. I'm missing a toenail right now. We've been through a lot of fights and stuff to get here. And Kaniyah was like, girl, we all been through the same type of stuff. We all come from the strip club. We all come from nightlife. So yeah, I have not been through the stuff with y'all specifically in the cabaret, but obviously I've been in the field. I've been in the strip club. And Andrea was like, yeah, well, you don't have to walk around like you better than us. And Kaniyah was like, I never said I was better than y'all. So y'all just feel that way. I just love myself and y'all feel like my demeanor is that of somebody who feels like they better than y'all. But I never said out my mouth that I feel like I'm better than y'all. Even though when they did fight, Kaniyah did say, you know what, I am better than y'all bitches. She did say that when she was mad. So Andrea was just saying how Kaniyah thought she was so much of a bad bitch and she didn't have to fight and this is ghetto and this, that, and the third. And Erica was basically saying in her confessional that she also heard when Kaniyah said, the culture of Joseline's Cabaret right now is ghetto. So now Erica feels away and wants to insert herself. So Kaniyah gave Erica what she was looking for, whooped her. She whooped Erica the worst. You see that knot right above my forehead on her eyebrow? Knot it up. Then Neek gonna say in her confessional, one fight, we all fight. That's how I feel. But I let Erica get her ones. We don't always gotta jump. Yeah, y'all need to stop that BS. And I told y'all, everybody like Neek, but she be down with that same jumping cabaret mentality as the rest of them bitches. And I don't like it. So yeah, y'all need to stop that shit. Let people get their ones. So after Kaniyah beat Erica up, she was popping her shit, basically saying like, Erica, you lost, Danny, you lost, Andrea, you lost, and the cameras caught all of it. So now Des decides she want to fight because her girlfriend just got beat up. So Des and Kaniyah have a short round. I feel like Kaniyah got that because Des was really just pulling hair. And then Sky's weird ass tried to jump in the fight to get at Kaniyah and go and say she was trying to get her lick back for Kaniyah not jumping in and helping her. So you more mad at Kaniyah for not helping you when you was getting jumped than you are at the girls who actually jumped you. Because that's who you with now. The girls who you friends with is the people who jumped you. Make it make sense. And according to Kiara's confessional, after Neek said she wasn't going to jump in, she ended up jumping in anyway. Kiara said that Neek was one of the people who jumped in. And she was like, these girls say they not about jumping, but then they be jumping. Andrea's in her confessional like, yeah, I told Kaniyah, Erica, and Des was going to come home and whoop her ass, and look what happened. They came home and whooped her ass. No, they came home and got their ass whooped. You and Danny did better than Erica and Des. Then we saw Jane Doe and Neek talking on the side, and Jane Doe was basically saying, she don't like the jumping and stuff, but she wasn't really busting a move. She wasn't getting active. She was just saying it. Like, I don't really like the jumping. I don't understand what's going on. So what it sounded like was Neek had went over to where Jane Doe and Kiara was while everything was going on. And Jane Doe and Kiara was basically saying, yeah, we don't like the jumping, but we not involved. So why are you coming over to us? And Neek was like, well, I don't know what y'all on. So Neek is looking to basically fight them if they try to help Kaniyah. Then Des starts yelling at Jane Doe, telling her to shut the F up. Unfortunately, Jane Doe is really not saying nothing back. Neither is Kiara. G-Baby is still standing on the steps with this blanket, injured, not doing nothing, watching the fights from afar. And she basically says she not helping nobody that ain't Sky. Then you got Des throwing water bottles at Jane Doe. Jane Doe still not doing nothing. All she talking about is some whoa, whoa. And then Sky's popping her shit to Jane Doe and Kiara, basically saying they some hoes and they let two people get jumped, talking about her and now Kaniyah. But like I said, Sky, you a hoe. Because why you friends with the bitches that jumped you? And more mad at the people who didn't help you than the people who actually did it to you. Des said in her confessional that she did mean to throw the water at Kiara, but it hit Jane Doe instead. She really don't give a fuck though. And Jane Doe basically confirmed that when she went to try to jump in to break up the fight and to help Kaniyah, Neek thought that she was going to jump in to start fighting the other girls. And Jane Doe was like, I feel like these OG girls are trying to test our gangster and also trying to take us out of our character to be people who we have already said that we're not. We already said we're not fighters, but you're just not going to keep pushing and testing people. And from there, Jocelyn told them, get ready for eliminations. Okay, y'all, so then we quickly see the girls getting ready for eliminations. I will just say I'm starting to really feel like the Des and Erica relationship is forced. The more and more I see of it, the more and more it feels like just something for them to keep a storyline. Whenever one of them gets into it with somebody, the other one can jump in. People don't really say too much about it because they're girlfriends. Like, I'm just not feeling it. Then you got other people kind of doing the same thing. Egypt and Natural, Andrea and Oceans. Like, I'm not feeling it because I really don't feel like none of it is genuine. Danny looked a mess while she was getting ready for this elimination. That makeup is way too white. She looked like she going to her own damn funeral. And then Kiara kind of foreshadowed here because she said that she wore the same dress that she wore, I guess, the first time she met Jocelyn at the club. And Jocelyn kind of, really liked her and took a liking to her. So she said, if this is the last time I see Jocelyn, I want her to remember me in this dress. So I wore it again tonight. So the girls are walking into eliminations. Andrea and Danny are shitting bricks. They don't know if they're going to go home because they broke this 48-hour rule. Neek is basically saying she just don't believe it. Like, she don't feel like Jocelyn going to send nobody home. And Kaniyah was saying, in her mind, she know that she still might be going home because she did get into a fight, but she don't feel like that should be something she's penalized for because she just defended herself. It wasn't something she went out of her way to start. So then Jocelyn comes in the room and everybody's clapping like she's Beyonce. They do that every time she enters the room. And Jocelyn's kind of looking around like, who am I missing? The girls were saying Natural. And Jocelyn was like, this house is too damn big. I can't keep up with Natural. Natural is always somewhere else. So she's not really caring about the fact that Natural is sick because of that nasty ass food challenge she had them do, which caused Natural to get food poisoning, allegedly. Because people have said other things. Some people feel like Natural was going through withdrawals and she just used that as an excuse, the whole food challenge. But I choose to believe her because the stuff that they ate was really nasty. So Jocelyn asked Kaniyah what exactly happened with her and Danny. Kaniyah explained herself, and then Danny did jump in and basically say, we did start it. She did stand up for herself. And at this point, I don't feel like she should go home because she proved herself. She's willing to get in the field. So yeah, Kaniyah was right. It's all an initiation tactic, and then they'll consider you their Cabaret sister and want to move on like y'all never fought and nothing ever happened. Could never be me. Once I fight a bitch, it's pretty much over. And Oceans was also explaining to Jocelyn, how Danny had sent her the text and she had to come through because even though they don't get along, that's her Cabaret sister. So then Jocelyn kind of turns her attention to G-Baby and she's like, you haven't been standing out. What are you doing? I haven't seen any choreography from you. And remember, G-Baby is a pole teacher, so I'm guessing Jocelyn is expecting a lot of dancing from her. So Jocelyn asked Ricardo about G-Baby and he said that G-Baby has been missing in action. Then Jocelyn asked Ricardo about Chinks, and he was like, Chinks actually does seem hungrier this time. She has been dancing. She actually pulled me to the side and asked me for a personal lesson while I was available. So, I guess Ricardo just danced with Chinks by himself, which makes more sense because these girls don't like her. She's probably not really comfortable around them. They always calling her sloppy, talking about her body. So she probably feels more comfortable to really learn the moves and focus if it's just her and Ricardo. Then Jocelyn asked about Sky, and Ricardo was like, she's been there, she's been present, but she's been sore. And Jocelyn was like, sore from dancing or sore from fighting? And Ricardo was like, it's giving fighting. So he's basically saying, Sky is there, she's present, but she's not shining. And it seems like it's because her body is messed up because she's more focused on fighting and drama than the dancing. And like I told y'all, I think Sky has officially crossed over to the other side. She's like a weirdo like Danny, Andrea, and Oceans. She's going to jump. She's going to feel like she's a part of this Cabaret sister lifestyle. And she's also going to be a lapdog to Jocelyn. She said in her confessional that now she knows she's just going to keep her mouth shut. She's not even going to say okay. Unless Jocelyn speaks to her and she's like being asked a question, she's not going to say anything or open her mouth whatsoever. So that told me everything I needed to know. So then out of the fucking blue, Jocelyn says, okay, it's time for me to eliminate one of you ladies tonight. But before I get to that, I wanted to ask, do any of you guys feel like I have favoritism towards Neek? So everybody's looking around, and Neek especially is looking around like, where the fuck is this coming from? And honestly, you could immediately tell that it was BS because out of all people, Danny said, no, I don't feel like you have favoritism for Neek. I feel like she puts in work, she works hard, and you give her credit and acknowledge her for the work that she puts in. I think that other people just feel like their work might go unnoticed at times. But it's not like you giving her credit or praise for something that she's not doing. She is a great dancer. She is a hard worker. So I don't feel like it's favoritism. So after nobody agreed with Jocelyn and nobody stepped up to say that they felt like she had favoritism towards Neek, Jocelyn turns to Neek and she's like, well, I just want you to know I don't have favoritism towards you. I've heard that you acting really crazy. You acting like this is your show, like you being a diva. So then Jocelyn started to like dumb Neek down and basically tell all of the girls that Neek is not better than any of them. And Neek was like, I am a better dancer than some of them. And Jocelyn was like, you dance all right. And Neek was like, no, I dance amazing. And Jocelyn was like, Ricardo, do this bitch know how to dance? And she wasn't really saying that Neek couldn't dance, but she was saying that Neek be messing up a lot, which later goes to her trying to say that Neek messes up because she's always drunk. So Erica, Ricardo, Des, they all basically saying in their confessionals that, Neek wouldn't shut up, and Jocelyn did keep telling her to shut up. Des was kind of trying to hold Neek hand to kind of get her to quiet down, but Neek just kept trying to have a rebuttal and a response. I don't blame her though, because Jocelyn was picking with her and it came out of nowhere. And people are grown women. Like, everybody's not going to be a lapdog. Everybody's not going to take her shit. And everybody don't feel like they need this show. Neek might feel like she never needed this show, or if she did feel like she needed the show at one point, she probably don't feel like she need it now. Because like Jocelyn says in the next few episodes, once Neek comes back, she basically says something like, oh, you had 7,500 followers when you first started and now you have 200K. Yeah, so she has gained a fan base. She can probably leave your show, do bookings, go to baddies, do whatever the hell it is that she's trying to do. But she don't need this show or have to continue to take this treatment like some of these other girls might. Then she starts telling Neek to watch how she speaks to her because she does get beside herself sometimes and she will have a problem. She says, I'm not your friend, I'm your boss. But earlier in this season, you were saying that Neek is your friend and you met her family and you love her and this, that, and the third. So is she your friend or is she not your friend? It's one thing to say, I'm your boss first. But she said, I'm not your friend. So this is what I be saying about Jocelyn sending mixed signals with these girls as well. One minute they your friends, they your Cabaret sisters, they your family. The next minute they ain't shit and you they boss and you they pimp. So she's disrespecting Neek. She's like, do you need me to show you where the door is? Because you need to learn how to shut the F up, B, and stand the F back, B. Calling her out her name and stuff. And Neek is just like, no, like, you don't have to show me where the door is. I'm not trying to disrespect you. I don't feel like you got favoritism towards me. Like, I don't know where all of this is coming from. And I'm just trying to defend myself because I don't feel like I'm better than anybody here. I don't feel like I run the girls. I don't feel like I'm a diva. But Jocelyn took Neek defending herself as disrespect because she's basically like, if I told you to shut up, if I told you to cool it, you need to just be quiet and zip it. So at this point, Jocelyn's just picking and picking. She's like, oh, tempt me. Tell me I won't send you home because you could be the first one to go. And Neek is like, I never said that. Like, I never said that. Then Erica raises her hand and she's like, oh, can I say something, please? Neek is an amazing dancer. Like, girl, shut up and step back before you be next. So Neek had kind of pointed to Erica and then pointed to Jocelyn, basically saying, yeah, like, Erica's right. I'm amazing. I don't know why Jocelyn said I'm all right. And Jocelyn was like, point at me again, ho. Point at me again, ho. And Neek was like, come on now, Jocelyn. You know I love you. Like, I'm not trying to do this with you. She's still trying to laugh it off and let Jocelyn know that it's all love and she's not trying to go there. So then Jocelyn starts asking the girls, oh, if Neek gets sent home, is anybody going to walk away with her? So, of course, nobody said they was going to walk with Neek. So I guess that was just Jocelyn's trying to still prove to Neek, like, you don't run these girls. None of these girls are your friends like you think. Nobody feels like you really a leader here. Like, I run this shit, you don't. And Neek was saying they don't need to leave if I get kicked out or if I leave. I don't want them to leave. If they want to stay, they should stay. And Jocelyn was like, I'm not talking to you. I'm not asking you. See, this is what I'm talking about. I didn't ask Neek to say nothing. Shut up. I'm asking the other girls a question. So at some point, Neek was kind of just looking at Dez, and like I said, Dez was holding her hand, and she could tell that Neek was getting upset. So Neek ended up kind of just turning her back because I guess, I don't know if she was getting emotional, she was about to cry, or if she just was tired of the arguing. Jocelyn goes in her confessional like, why would you ever turn around and give me your bumpy back? You got bumps all over your back, this, that, and the third. So once Neek had turned her back, Jocelyn was like, oh, get Neek out of here. And Neek walked away, and she was like, please, I'm ready to get out of here anyway. So she walked off stage and was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. She's not going to keep playing with me. And Jocelyn was like, yeah, Neek could go home. And from there, Jocelyn asked, did anybody else want to walk away with Neek? Erica and Dez are looking sad and shocked. And the episode ends there. So for Joseline's Cabaret episode 9, my most valuable cabaret ladies were Neek and Chinks. My least valuable cabaret ladies were Erica, Andrea, Danny, and Dez. My most valuable newbie was Kaniyah, and my least valuable newbies were Sky, Jane Doe, and Kiara. Okay, y'all, so that's my Joseline's Cabaret California episode 9 review/recap. If you're watching me on TikTok, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube. And if you're watching me on YouTube, make sure you follow me on TikTok. I'll see y'all later. Bye.